House rules. Each speaker has 5 minutes. The first and last minutes are protected. The judge will ring a bell to signal the protected time. The bell will ring continuously after 5 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is JINJA, the first farmer for the resolution that states this House blames the National Planning Authority for underdevelopment in Uganda. We as the team of farmers come up with a standard. We believe that we blame the National Planning Authority for underdevelopment in Uganda, and our parameter is Uganda as already stated in the resolution. First of all, allow me go straight out to the definitions in the resolution. To blame is to say somebody or something is responsible for something bad. And in this context, you're saying the National Planning Authority is to be blamed for underdevelopment in Uganda, according to the 10th edition Oxford Advanced Learners. Underdevelopment is having few industries and low living standards, and that is what you're experiencing within Uganda, even after having the National Planning Authority. Now, allow me go to an overview where I'm talking about the National Planning Authority. The National Planning Authority is a body that was founded in 2002. Currently, it has its chairperson as Pamela Kasabin. The National Planning Authority was made up with the motto of planning for development. Quote me right, planning for development. Therefore, they have a planning process, and the planning process is as follows. Number 1, they set objectives. Number 2, they identify alternative plans. Number 3, they evaluate the alternatives to know which one is favorable. Number 4, they select the best alternative. And number 5, they implement and follow up. Under implementation and following up, the National Planning Authority ought to monitor, in other words, to supervise the bodies that it has chosen to implement. Number 2, it ought to control, and in other words, it is to take charge of the implementers. And number 3, it is to evaluate what is on paper, as in what they had put in paper, and what is actually taking place. Now, the bigger question is, has all of this been done by the National Planning Authority? Is the planning process actually being followed by the Planning Authority? No, and they are going to see why I say no. The National Planning Authority, to our notice should be that the National Planning Authority cannot start to plan for something minus having an implementation body in mind, at the back of their minds. Therefore, any failure of the plans that are made by the National Planning Authority cannot be pinpointed on implementers, but they should be pinpointed on the National Planning Authority that actually selects the implementers for which they are going to use for a particular plan. Now, talking of National Planning Authority, allow me to talk about the roles of the National Planning Authority. The National Planning Authority is meant to coordinate and harmonize development planning. Number 2, it is meant to monitor and evaluate the effectiveness of development programs. And number 3, it is to advise the President on policies and strategies of the development. Allow me pose a question to the audience. Allow me pose a question to the team negatives. Has it done all of this? No. And they're going to see why I say no.
Your Eye, Honorable Speaker.
Accepted.
Can you tell us the act of the Constitution of Uganda that gives the National Planning Authority the mandate to implement?
Let me go further by saying that the body has a primary function of production of comprehensive and integrated development plans. In other words, they have the national vision framework, they have long-term plans, and they have medium-term plans. And this is where we as team affirmatives are zeroing on to, the medium-term plans. The medium-term plans they come up with are the national development plans, and they put it in the contraction of NDP. And the most recent NDP is the NDP3, for which the team affirmatives are going to zero on. The most recent is the NDP3 of 2020, 21 to 2024, 25. And we are taking it on since it is the most recent and it is easy to evaluate since it is planned over a short period of time. The NDP3 2020-21 to 2024-25 was approved by the Parliament on January 20th, 2020. And the aim was to increase household income and improve the life quality of Ugandans. And they adopted the PDM to be the vehicle to drive them towards this aim. The PDM was made in October 2020. And a year later, the Parliament, along with the MPs, sat and agreed that there was a problem in the implementation of the PDM. Sure, there was a problem in the implementation of the PDM, looking at only 3% were able to effect the money that was given to them for PDM, and the 97% took it to be a token of appreciation, meaning that the PDM failed, but to your notice should be that the PDM is still running, and the National Planning Authority hasn't given us an alternate yet, meaning that there's a problem with the National Planning Authority. And since the PDM failed, meaning that even the very National Development Plan 3 has failed totally, and there is no alternate yet, and they are getting 2025. Still on the failures of the National Development Plan,
an act architecture is to design a plan and the builders are to construct. Ladies and gentlemen, Nakabgo in it is my name, Air Force Army Senior Secondary School. Today's resolution happens to be this House blames the National Planning Authority for the underdevelopment in Uganda. What are we seeing, dear ladies and gentlemen? We as the negators are saying that body is responsible for funding and the budgeting committee should be accountable for the underdevelopment in Uganda, ladies and gentlemen. He comes and talks about the act, but he doesn't give clear information about the composition. These agencies, shortened as the NPA, by the Parliamentary Act 15/2002 was formed composing of 5 members, whereby the executive board is Pamela Mbabazi, Dr. Ivan Lule, the deputy, and the other 3 who are appointed by the president, each of them having a master's degree in planning and experience in that field, which means that these people know what they are doing and know what they are planning. The question, has it all done what it has to be? It was the question he asked. Yes, it has done all it has done, dear ladies and gentlemen. We asked him the act. We asked him to tell us the act that mandates the NPA to implement. He doesn't answer. So we are asking ourselves, what were they talking about without evidence? The status quo. Yes, they should be implemented effectively, but the implementers are the ones that are not implementing, ladies and gentlemen. The status quo is that the National Planning Authority is responsible for designing all development plans since 2002 to date. What are we seeing, dear ladies and gentlemen? The people are living below the poverty lines. We are seeing that unemployment is everywhere. We are seeing the high risks of deaths in maternity rates, dear ladies and gentlemen. I will lay down our arguments, put more light if time allows me, and the others rebut, clash, and weigh the debate. Our arguments are going to show you how the NPA should not be accountable for the underdevelopment, dear ladies and gentlemen. Our first argument is political factors, e.g. the government policies, political stability, corruption. Number 2, underfunding of the NPA's plans by the funding bodies. Dear ladies and gentlemen, they didn't give us the arguments. So what are they talking about? If, dear ladies and gentlemen, we come and show you that the NPA goes and monitors and evaluates the plans, presenting a report whereby of the 30 indicators that have to be achieved on the development plan theory, only 17% were achieved, 18 fell short of and the remaining could not be measured due to the unmeasurable statistics. That was according to www.npa.go.ug. So it took an initiative to go and monitor and evaluate. It brings a report to the parliament. You know what the parliament said? No, go and make another development plan. It comes up with NDP4, which was presented to the parliament on 7th January 2025. And you know what? It's still under articulation. So what are we seeing? It is doing its job of planning. He even gives us examples of the NDPs 1, 2, and 3 and what they are after. So dear ladies and gentlemen, it is doing its job. Dear ladies and gentlemen, about the roads. Dear ladies and gentlemen, what he forgot to tell us is that this body, the development plans are to be submitted to the parliament for approval, and the public finance management plus the budgeting committee for countings and findings. Dear ladies and gentlemen, this clearly shows us that this authority relies heavily on the government, and their plans are drafted according to what the government wants, hereby telling each areas to focus on. Dear ladies and gentlemen, who can go against a person who is responsible for the composition? We are saying that they don't know how this body comes into power. It doesn't know what this NP is, and yet they are trying to prove to us that they are blaming it. So what was there really for them to tell us, dear ladies and gentlemen? I remain Nakabgo Ini, the first negator. You have been good listeners.
This is the High School Crossfire. We'll be back in a minute.